My name is Nechodom, and I retired from the Gainesville Police Department after 27 years, almost 3 years ago now. I started at GPD in '91. Like every new officer, I started on midnight shift patrol, and from there I was lucky enough to make the K-9 unit and worked with 2 K-9s over the course of probably about 7 years. Was promoted to corporal while I was on in the narcotics unit, and then later sergeant. I went to criminal investigations division, and then as a lieutenant I returned back to the narcotics bureau as one of the unit commanders. 2 years ago I did a cross-country motorcycle ride after I retired, and so I felt that, and that covered the southwest region of the United States, so I knew I wanted to do another one covering the north from the east to the west coast, and thinking that I should do something more than just ride every day. I had thought about the idea of providing lunch to area law enforcement agencies along my route. That kind of has progressed into a fundraiser and gave my trip a little more meaning. Having worked in law enforcement, I can identify how tough it's been over the last year and a half for everybody, but in particular with law enforcement, I felt this was a good way of kind of reminding them that people support them. And I think it's important for them to meet regular citizens who support them. Otherwise, it's just cops hanging around with cops, and if the only message that you're hearing is negative, you tend to believe that to be the truth. So I know when I worked with the Gainesville Police Department, there was a church in town here that started feeding evening shift once a month on a Sunday. The start of that was we had an arsonist in town that had burned several of the churches, and the congregation started staying at the churches at night. And they started feeding the officers while they were there that were working the details. Well then, after that case was solved, this church continued on with once a month feeding evening shift at the church. And we would go to the church, we would eat, we would have our briefing with the church members. And it just was real important at that time. That's once a month you got to meet interesting people that were supportive. The hope is that others around will look at their local departments and realize the importance that they get to meet people in the community that support them, and what better way than to share a meal together. The sharing of a meal, I think, helps remind people that the world's not against them.